How's it going, everybody? My name is Will from Ghosthack, and today I'm going to be talking about the Harmor plugin native to FL Studio, but I'm actually going to be talking about one of the most interesting features of Harmor, which, as you may know, is the ability to import an image and turn it into sound.
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
There are not a lot of plugins that do this. Harmor's the only one I know of. I'm sure there are others, but I think it's very easy to import an image and turn it into sound, but it's very hard to actually turn it into a good sound. And what I'm going to be focusing on today is importing an image into Harmor and turning it into a bass. I'll try not to make it too complex, but I just want to show you how you can get good results out of images instead of just weird static, because that's what automatically comes up, and I'm not sure everyone knows how to get past that. So enough chatter, it's time for a hashtag eliminate moment. All right, so step one, it's already done. We have Harmor, and now we just need an image to import. Now, you can import anything. What I recommend is not thinking about it too much, just trying to import different things and seeing what different ways the image just has an effect on the sound. So I'll flip over to this image tab and I'll pick a random image. How about poggers? We can use this. This will be useful. Throw poggers right into here and boom. Now, right now, I'm just playing a saw wave. But I am actually playing the poggers image. The reason it sounds like a saw wave is because it has deduced it down to blacks and whites. The white, which is just this light blue here, is just positive harmonics, and the black is negative harmonics. So if I scroll through with this time knob, you can see it almost says poggers on this screen right here. What am I doing? But you can see it's set right before the S right here. So if I play it through the S, you can see the S is right there in the spectrum. You can see how the blacks are negative and the positives are white. And so the first thing you want to do in order to make this useful is you can see how the frequencies are all moving around here really weird. Like, it looks really cool, you can make some really cool shapes, but it doesn't sound very useful. You kind of want to create a tone that is one note. So the first thing you need to do is you want to take this scale down and just bring it all the way down to 0. There we go. There's the poggers we know and love. You can see it's much clearer. All of the frequencies are lined up beautifully. Thank you, Harmor. I don't know, this is golden right here. But now, since we have an actual sound that we can start to work with here, we can find good spots and we can start manipulating it. Like, I actually really like this spot, because going into the first G, it kind of spreads out and has this like oi texture. And we can obviously manipulate that. The first thing I think I want to do is I want to go in and do something that I tend to do a lot, which is I'm going to just go ahead and start adding some distortion here. I like the log distortion. We can turn the filter up. That's a lot of disto, so we'll just bring it down a little bit there. I'll add a little bit of chorus, which I normally do. I'll change this to 5. Just bring it down a little bit to give it a little bit of width, and then I will run it through some heating compression. These are just normal settings that I throw on my basses usually when I'm making basses in Harmor, so I have those already done, and I can go into some more in-depth manipulation. First one being the Prism. Now, that doesn't sound any good on its own, but we can do something here, which if you've watched any of me using Harmor on my live streams, then you've probably seen me do this before. I will move the prism up a little bit and then go to this harmonic prism tab, and I actually created and saved a shape here called squelch, and it looks like this. And you can go through, it just takes a second to create it, and then you can save it by going save state file, so you can open it later. But this is the squelch shape. And it just allows this prism to add a little bit of squelchy texture to your bass. That was it before. That's it with the prism. And you can mess around with these modes as well. I can't explain to you exactly how they work, but it's all about how the frequencies kind of get shifted around. Like, there's a lot of really interesting tones you can get out of this tool. And next up, what I can do, I can add a second voice. I can go 2 voices here. So now it's even more stereo. And if you've seen me use Harmor on my live streams, you've probably also seen me do this. I'll go into the harmonic unison pitch and I will create this shape. And what this shape does is it says, okay, in this register, imagine this is like an EQ spectrum. These are the low frequencies and it goes all the way up to the high frequencies. These frequencies right here are going to get detuned more from each other, while these frequencies here are going to get detuned less. And for whatever reason, what this does is this adds more squelchy, sort of wet, nasty nature to the sound. Ooh. Going down really low, you have an interesting high harmonic there. Oh yeah, that's it without the distortion. That's really weird. Now we can maybe make a cool shape with the phaser. Ooh. We're getting really cool stuff in here, and I think a lot of this is also coming from the phaser being before the distortion. And usually at this point, when I have a cool sound that I enjoy, I would run it through my Thicc Rack, which you can find a tutorial for my Thicc Rack in the link at the bottom of the description. But you can run it through with the Thicc Rack and just make it a little louder. And you can do more work to it. You could change it to square wave to make it kind of weird, just Terror Squad screechy. You could add some harmonic blur. If you want it to be more solid, mess around with the prism again. Ooh. See, that's just juicy. And then you can mess around with the image itself. So you can go into this area and you have some weird things to mess around with the image. You can invert it. Whoa. Which, as you can see, just flips around the image and everything positive becomes negative, and you can have a lot of fun with that. Let me invert it back. You could flip it vertically if you wanted to. So that's a little more solid. As you can see at the bottom of the frequency spectrum here, there is just a lot of white. You know, there isn't a lot of black like where the words are. So maybe I'll flip that back again. But you can mess around with those things and then move the times around and mess with the speeds to get different things. Like, that's kind of cool. And then the beauty of it is it's almost like a wavetable. You can always go back and import a different image. Let's say I want Mr. Beast. Let me throw Mr. Beast in here. Hey, Jimmy, what's up? There, there he is. For this one, we're going to have to turn the speed down. And find some cool spots. You may notice that in a lot of these images in this side, it's kind of stretched up a lot. And that's because this is sorted kind of by octave instead of just by frequency. And if you want to sort this image by octave, you can just flip this right here. Yeah, and that looks a little more like how it looks in this side right here, so you can see what's happening a little better. Like, that's not bad, that's juicy. We can take off the prism to have a more dry, crispy sound. And now we can mess with this. We can invert it maybe. Give us a little more stuff to work with. Oh, that's weird. Even though I turned the prism off, I just can't help myself from turning it on to see how it sounds. Or maybe I could flip it. Ooh. That has some cool textures. And texture is exactly the right word to use because this is the texture of Jimmy's hair. You could add maybe a bit of tremolo. Turn that gap down. Ooh. That's dope. That's awesome. I actually really enjoy this. And I haven't even gotten into these filters. That you can use to actually make it talk. Maybe like a phaser. Oh, that's nasty. It's not everyone's style, but it's exactly my style. Look how I'm drawing these lines just by moving this frequency around. And then extend the width. Like if you're a sound designer who's trying to make new sounds and not sound like everybody else doing all the same stuff and Serum and stuff like that, this is a really good outlet to do some experimenting. So there you have it. I know this video wasn't super organized, but that is just a basic kind of rundown about how I would go about making basses using images in Harmor. I gave you some tips and tricks about specific tools to use and different ways you can use them to achieve good results. And I really love hearing the kind of stuff that can come out of this plugin because it's just never heard before, man. And now I have a challenge for you. If you have Harmor, which I'm assuming if you've gotten to this point in the tutorial, you've probably have Harmor in FL Studio, I encourage you to go into Snipping Tool on your computer and take a screenshot of this image right here and see what bass you can make out of this image. Wow, that's a good looking image. When I edit this in post, I'll figure out what exactly that image is, but hey, have a good time. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Happy producing.